Number 1, which of the following statements about balanced forces is true? C. Let me get it. Hang on, yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm on the right screen now. Number 2, an object is moving in a straight line at a constant speed. What can be said about the forces acting on it? Keywords: constant speed. Yes, the forces are balanced. Jumping into a short answer questions. Define balanced forces and give one example. You need to have 2 keywords: are equal and opposite, resulting in no change in motion. Which means if something is stationary, it will keep on, it will be remaining still. If it's something that is moving, it will keep on moving. So example. I think you can give me good examples. Anyone? Yes, put pens on the table, car at a constant speed. Yes, correct. So my example is a book resting on the table. You can also say the car moving in one direction in a constant speed. Yes, a parked car is considered balanced. So now, what happens to the motion of an object when unbalanced forces are acting on it? 2 marks. Hygiene, do you want to try again? Miss out 1 point. The first point, rewrite it. Second point is correct. Yes, it can move, but how is it moving when it's unbalanced? So it has to be something to do with speeding up or slowing down. All right, so the answer is unbalanced forces cause a change in speed and or direction. We will fill in the blanks with the correct terms. When forces are balanced, the object will either remain you key in your answer for the first remaining? Okay, still stationary is correct. Still is correct. Okay, so I would choose the word stationary. Or move at a constant speed. However, when forces are unbalanced, the object will. Alright, good answers there in the chat. Object will speed up or slow down, definitely. You can do that. You can write that as well. Or change direction. Now, some of you might want to say change speed. So if you have used speed as the answer here, try not to repeat it in the second space. Question, yes, now the answer question. Explain how balanced and unbalanced forces affect the motion of an object. Use examples of a stationary object and an object moving at a constant speed. Please use a piece of paper to write down the answers. You don't have to type in. It is going to be, you have to write about 4 sentences to 5 sentences for this question. All right, done. So let's answer. Just look at my answer scheme. Moving on to the next part now. Okay. Let's take 10 seconds to answer 1 and 2. Which of the following is the correct unit for speed? Yes, D. Both A and B. A car travels 150 meters in 15 seconds. What is its speed? So it's A, 10 meter per second. Short answer questions again. A car travels 120 meters in 15 seconds. What is the car speed? You need to write down the formula first. That would be giving you that 1 mark together with the working. And then the final answer, 8 meter per second. Explain the term average speed. Okay, quickly write down in the chat if you can, so teacher can see if you can get the answer. Okay, average speed, distance divided by total time. Okay, cross passage now. Most of the things here are repeated because teacher is trying to expose you to different ways of asking questions, having the same answers. So you might find that it is repeated, many things are repeated, but when you come to exam, you will be having to answer many different type of questions. Okay, the formula for speed is, yes, distance divided by time, which we mentioned as definition just now. The SI unit for speed is, the international unit for speed is speed, not time. Yeah, speed. So meter per second. If runner if a runner covers 100 meters in 10 seconds, their speed is, so yes, 10 meter per second. A cyclist travels 20 kilometers in 2 hours. Calculate the speed of the cyclist in kilometers per hour. Show your working. Three marks. Alright, correct answer is, as in the chat, 10 kilometer per K. What is K? Yes, per hour. So how do you get 3 marks from these questions? Like how do you fulfill 3 marks? Oh, teacher forgot to write the marks there. It's actually 3 marks. It's at the bottom. Okay. So first of all, yes, show working. Before the working, what do we show first? Formula. What is the formula? Speed equals to, again, we are repeating these answers. This, all right. Next section now. What does the slope of a distant time graph represent? What is a time graph? If you do not, please go and look at your textbook or you can Google it. Someone answer B. Yes, B. All right, the speed of the object. On a distant time graph, what does a horizontal line indicate? Means when it is horizontal like this. Yeah. What does it indicate? Do you see that if it's horizontal, what happened to the distance? Right? Did it move? Did it change? Or is it same? Yes, not moving. So answer would be B. Okay, let's continue to the next short answer questions. So after this section, we will take a short break. On a distant time graph, what does a steep slope indicate about the motion of an object? So if the slope is steep, what does it indicate? Okay, for example, this is a graph. If this if the slope is steep, okay, steep means it's more slanted. Yeah, this is steep and this is not so steep. All right. So what does it indicate? Yes, moving fast, moving quickly. That's correct. So um, explain it in the terms of speed. If you can use the word speed in the answer. So a steep slope indicates the object is moving at a higher speed. How can you tell if an object is accelerating or decelerating? By looking at a distant time graph. There's a dog barking outside. So explain. Acceleration means, how does it look like, or how does acceleration looks like in a graph? Right. So acceleration is shown by a curve sloping upwards. So which means if you see the graph looking like this, that's acceleration. Deceleration is shown by a curve flattening out. So you see a graph, it will be looking like this. Yes, correct. IG. Yeah, the slope is steeper, pointing upward. The acceleration is going down, or not really going down yet, but it's going to slow down to zero. So it's going to be flat. All right. So this question normally will be asked in diagram, in multiple choice. They give you a diagram and they will ask you to identify which one is acceleration, which one is deceleration. Right, next, we'll do this quickly together. A distant time graph shows how what changes over time. Okay, distant time graph means showing the distance changes. Yeah. They will show speed, it won't show speed change, but you know speed change when you measure the slope. A horizontal line on the graph means the object is stationary. If the line is sloped or means steeper, the object is moving. Okay. The steeper the line, the faster the object is moving. All right, let's continue. So starting from rest, we are drawing a distant time graph. Make sure you use the ruler, right? Label your graph, distance, time, starts at rest. So you have to imagine that something starts at rest. Means they are stationary for a while in the beginning. They are resting. I don't know what is it. Okay, it could be a train, it could be a car, or can be a person. Okay, so they start at rest. It must be horizontal. Use your ruler, and then the object moving at a constant speed. When it moves, the distance supposedly will change. So at a constant speed, just going upwards. So, so the distance has to increase and then finally comes to a stop and horizontal. So this is how the graph is supposed to be like. You can draw few variation. You can also draw like this. You can start at the lower point, going up, and then resting. Yeah, make sure you label your axis time. You can also draw like this. Okay, time. This right. You can start off with the distance at 0. So it's like a line here, but it's going to be the same line as the x-axis. Then you go up and then do horizontal again. Okay, next topic, next subtopic. We are going into 3.4, turning forces. What is the unit for moment? Anyone? Anyone? Type in the chat. All right. Moment, unit for moment is Newton meter. So you have to understand moment. Definition is force, distance, distance from pivot. So moment is where you talk about the turning force of an object. The door handle is 0.8 meter from the hinge. Door handle is 0.8 meters from the hinge. So imagine a door. So you need to imagine the object. So the hinges are here. So it's how far away. So the distance is 0.8 meter. If a force of 10 Newton is applied to the handle, what is the moment? So 10 Newton is applied here. So what do you think is the hinge? Okay, the moment. Yes. So 0.8 times, sorry, 10 times 0.8 goes to 8 Newton meter. What is a pivot? Give one example from daily life where a force acts on a pivot. Right. A pivot is the point around which an object turns. Anything else? How about scissors? Anything that's turning. Wheelbarrow. Yeah. Okay. Calculate the moment of 5 Newton force applied 0.4 meters away from a pivot. So force times distance. Write down the formula first. Okay. Fill in the blanks. The moment of a force is calculated using the formula. Moment. Again, you can write it all again. Force times distance. I mean, you can write distance times force, it's fine. I prefer to write force times distance. Unit is Newton meter. Increasing the distance from the pivot increases the moment. Alright, well done for those who have been keying into the chat. Alright, I can see that the answers are almost all correct. Please explain the term and explain how does increasing the distance affect the moment. So teacher will just give you the mark scheme here. Okay, check your answers if you have written something on your own. If you are not sure, please type into the chat. This is kind of a very direct definition, and we are just talking about describing what is moment. Okay, we are going to the next subtopic, pressure between solids. Which of the following factors affect pressure between solids? I still would like you to think about it first. So to answer this kind of questions, always remember the formula. What is pressure? What is the definition of pressure? So pressure is force divided by area. So what is pressure between solids? So pressure in solid. We are talking about the effect of area and the force. So over here the answers only we have related with area. If the same force is applied to two different surfaces, which will experience more pressure? Two different surfaces, which will experience more pressure. So in order to increase pressure, okay, usually we have to increase force and decrease area so that pressure can be increased. So which will be the answer? So one more, that will be B, the smaller surface. Define pressure and state the formula to calculate it. Okay, just to explain the formula, pressure is the force per unit area. You can also use the definition in your textbook. Pressure formula would be force over area. Okay, easy marks here. What happens to the pressure exerted on the ground if the surface area of an object decreases but the force remains the same? So always make sure you write down your formula. So the force is not changing. You are not sure what happened to the pressure when the surface area decreases. So looking at this, we'll see that once the area decreases, the pressure increases. So explain in words. Pressure exerted will increase when the surface area decreases while the force remains the same. We need to explain about the force to make sure that there is no changes in the force. If the force change, there may be a different effect on the pressure. Filling up the blanks, pressure is the amount of force acting on a certain area. It is calculated using the formula pressure equals to force over area, and the unit of pressure is so how do we measure pressure? This is slightly different from what we have learned from other units, so this is called Pascal. Or you can actually write Newton or Newton per meter squared. So remember, write the formula first. Okay. 250 Newton per meter square. Moving on to the next subtopic. Yeah, we have 2 more topics to go. I think we can wrap up in probably 15 minutes. How do particles in a gas move? Right. A, they move randomly in all directions. I think it's quite easy, this one. What happens to the pressure of a gas if the temperature increases? So visualize when temperature when it's hotter, what happened to the molecules or the atoms, and are they going to be vibrating more or less, and how is the interaction with the wall, that the container that they are in. Yeah, so yeah, the pressure increases. Okay. So I guess these questions are quite straightforward, but it can be quite tricky sometimes. So make sure you double check your answers all the time when you come to these kind of questions. Why do gas exert more pressure when they are heated? Too much. because particles move faster and collide more. We can talk about having more energy and move faster and collide more frequently with, with the walls of the container, causing higher pressure. Causing higher pressure. Explain why a deep sea diver experiences more pressure as they go deeper into the ocean. So this is talking about pressure in liquid. In liquids. So slightly different from gas. We're going to explain it in terms of the depth of the liquids. So pressure in liquids increases with, with depth. Because the weight of the water, which is causing the force above, could exert okay. In gases, pressure is caused by particles colliding with the walls of the container. As temperature increases, particles move faster and hit the walls with more force. Yes. In liquids, pressure increases with depth. All right, due to time, we will just give you the marking scheme for this. Later on, you can watch this video again to get the answers. So explain how particle movement causes pressure in liquids and gases. How does increasing the temperature affect the pressure in a closed container of gas? Imagine this question to have 4 marks. Firstly, you explain particles in liquids and gas move freely and therefore they will collide with the walls of the container. So that is explaining the nature of the movement. This collision then create pressure on the walls, a second mark. And the third mark is when temperature increases, particles move faster, and the faster the particles collide, more often and with greater force, increasing the pressure in the container. Okay, coming to our final subtopic. Okay, talking about particle movement. Number one, what causes diffusion in liquids and gases? Diffusion is caused by movement, all right, the random movement of particles. And later on, we look at how are they moving, what causes them to move from a certain direction to a certain direction. From number two, which of the following is an example of diffusion? I think it's quite obvious. C. Perfume spreading throughout a room. Okay, this is the scenario that you can see particles actually move from one place to another place. So now, defining diffusion. Diffusion is the movement Diffusion is the movement of particles from high to low concentration example, perfume spreading in the room. Okay, you can give other examples. What effect does temperature have on the rate of diffusion in gases? So just now we learned that higher temperature causes particles to move faster, right? So again, it's the same concept. Higher temperature increases the rate of diffusion as particles move faster. Easy, right? All right. Next. Diffusion is the movement of particles from an area of, repeating what we have learned just now, or concluding what we have learned just now, higher concentration to an area of lower concentration. It occurs because of the random movement of particles. As temperature increases, diffusion happens faster. So if you do not know how to write these definitions in sentences or give proper wording to it, this is really a good example for you to learn how to write in. All right, last. Describe how diffusion occurs in liquids and gases. Explain how temperature affects the rate of diffusion. Here is the mark scheme for this question. Diffusion occurs because particles move randomly. 1 mark. In liquids and gases, particles spread from area of high concentrations to lower concentrations. 1 mark. And as temperature increases, particles move faster, therefore increasing the rate of diffusion. Another mark. So students, as you realize, the questions over here are not super difficult. So if you would like to attempt a more difficult questions to have more challenge, try out the textbook questions. Bye. Good night, everyone.